Okay, so here's the thing about idle RPGs. Most of them are basically the same game wearing different outfits. You summon characters, you watch numbers go up, you hit a paywall, you uninstall. So when IDLE EVO Quest showed up with actual positioning and skill timing as part of the combat, I had to see if it was for real or just another reskin dressed up in Starlight aesthetics. The game is called IDLE EVO Quest, and if you're the kind of player who doesn't just want to park your phone and forget about it, this one might actually be worth your storage space. Might. We'll get into that. And hey, if you're tired of downloading garbage idle games based on hype alone, that's literally why this channel exists. We grind through these things so you don't have to. Drop a like and subscribe. We genuinely appreciate it. So let's talk about how this game actually works. The core loop is your standard idle RPG setup. Your squad fights automatically, enemies drop loot, you get stronger, you push further. Nothing revolutionary there. But where IDLE EVO Quest tries to separate itself is in the combat layer on top of that idle foundation. Positioning actually matters here. You're not just throwing characters into slots and walking away. Where a unit stands on the field affects how their skills land, what they can target, and how much damage they eat. It's a small thing, but it shifts your brain from passive observer to actual decision maker. You're thinking about which unit goes where and why, not just who has the highest stats. Then there's skill timing. You don't just auto everything and check back in an hour. Active skill deployment is part of the game. You've got a window to pop abilities at the right moment to chain effects, capitalize on enemy weaknesses, or bail yourself out of a losing fight. This makes the manual combat feel like it has stakes, which is rarer than it should be in this genre. The companion system is where a lot of your progression comes from. You collect characters, each with their own skill set and positioning quirks. But here's the part one actually like. The game pushes back on the idea that there's one perfect team. The store description literally says there's no absolute strongest lineup. Whether that holds up in the actual endgame meta is a different question, and I'd want to see high-level PvP before I fully believe that claim, but the intent is there. Gacha is present. You're summoning for new allies through what they call the Fate system. It's the genre standard. You're going to be pulling for characters and hoping the RNG is kind to you. How aggressive the monetization is around this, we'll have to see as the game matures, but anyone walking into an idle RPG in 2026 knows what they're signing up for with summoning systems. The idle component is solid. When you log off, your team keeps progressing, collecting resources, pushing through stages. When you come back, you collect your offline gains and re-engage. It's the loop that makes this genre work for people with actual lives, and IDLE EVO Quest doesn't seem to break it with overly aggressive stamina caps, at least not out of the gate. World exploration is region-based. You're moving through different environments, forests, ruins, and whatever else they've built into the map, and each one comes with its own challenges and presumably unique enemy types. This gives the game some structural variety instead of just one endless dungeon grind. On the social side, there's both competitive and cooperative content. You can push the leaderboard solo or team up with other players. Having both options is a net positive. Though how fleshed out the co-op content actually is remains to be seen once the player base settles in. Now the honest part. There's not a ton of concrete detail available about the deeper systems, things like how extensive the equipment layering is, whether there's a crafting loop, how hard the endgame walls get. That ambiguity is a bit of a flag. Either the systems haven't been fully revealed yet, or there's not a lot there beneath the surface. The positioning and skill timing features are genuinely interesting, but if the rest of the game is just another stat check idle grind, those features can only carry it so far. The aesthetic is clean, starlight fantasy setting, solid character designs from what's been shown. Won't be the reason you stick with it, but it's not in the way either. So who's IDLE EVO Quest actually for? If you're an idle RPG player who wants something a little more engaged than the typical set and forget formula, there's enough here to warrant a download. The positioning mechanics and skill timing give you a reason to actually pay attention to your fights, which is a low bar that surprisingly few games in this genre clear. If you're someone who burns out the second you hit a gacha wall, or you've got no patience for systems that feel thin past the first few hours, wait for more reviews to roll in before you commit. At the moment, it's a cautious recommendation with room to grow into something genuinely good or room to disappoint. That's the nature of the genre, honestly. If you've played IDLE EVO Quest already, drop your take in the comments. Does the positioning system actually matter at higher levels, or does it eventually just become a stat race? Genuinely curious. Like and subscribe for more IDLE RPG breakdowns, and we'll see you in the next one.